figured could be. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of The Democratic View. I am the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano, and today I have with me three people. Again, it's the second time for three people. Usually I do one person at a time. And they are all from a group called East End Immigrant Advocates. Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
I got it, okay. And they are going to introduce themselves, and they're going to tell us a little bit about who they are and where they come from. So let's start with Jose.
Jose?
No,
No, I'm Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Oh,
It's okay. Hi, Phyllis. My name is Gerry Garro. I was born in Costa Rica. I lived the youngest years of my life there. I emigrated over with my parents and my two brothers when I was 7. My brothers were 5 and 3. Been here for almost 20 years. I did elementary school, high school, college here in the United States. I graduated with my master's in accounting from St. Francis College in Brooklyn. Now work out here full-time, and just recently got involved with the East End Immigrant Advocates.
now, are you part of that, are your brothers and came in very young, are they part of the DREAM Act?
We all are.
Really?
We all are. Yep, we're all
Wonderful.
what are called dreamers.
Yes. What a nice title. Always good to dream. And then it's Jose.
And I am Jose Sarasky.
Jose what?
Sarasky. And I moved from Costa Rica. I was born and raised in Costa Rica. And I was brought here with, my parents brought me here in 1983. And I started high school out there. And then I came and I finished high school here. So there was a big change in culture between Costa Rica and the way they operate in high school and high school in the United States. So it's a big change for me. It's a great experience.
And where was the high school?
In New York City, in Queens. I went to John Brown High School. It's in Flushing, right behind Queens College.
Oh.
And then I graduated in the class of '86. And in 1988, I moved from New York to Long Island, to Sag Harbor. And I've been in the East End since 1988. I think it's a great place. I love it. It's beautiful.
What's not to love, huh?
It's wonderful.
I know. You're lucky. You're here since '88.
Since '88, when things were a bit different
Yes.
back then.
Yes, I should say. And
My name is Tammy Sarasky, and thank you for having us here in your program. And
Tammy, you are married to him.
I'm married to Joe.
Yes.
We've been married for 22 years. And I was also born in Costa Rica. I went to school there. I went to high school and college. I graduated down there. And I came here when I was 21. And I came to visit my father, who's an American. And I've been here since I was 21, and I'm 47 right now, and I'm not ashamed of saying.
You don't have to tell your age on this show. I
It's
would
okay,
die if
I'm
I had to tell my age. Now, and what do you do?
I'm a teacher assistant for the dual language program in Southampton Elementary School, 3rd and 4th grade.
Great, wonderful. A colleague.
A colleague.
That's, yes, being a teacher also. So, this is obviously an issue that is before the American people a great deal, especially now. And we are all hoping that, or some of us are hoping. I showed you guys a letter that I got from a group called FAIR that has written me a long, long 3 pages about, well, actually 5 pages, 6 pages about the immigration, and they are against immigrants having any rights. And I was absolutely aghast. First of all, they would send it to me, Miss Liberal, and that there would be such an organization that would be working so hard and trying to raise money to make sure that people who come to this country don't get the opportunity to become full-fledged members of the country, especially since, as we mentioned before, unless you're Native American, you know, we're all immigrants, you know. I think you can tell where my family is from by my name. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the amount of immigrants that we have, even in our own area. Jose?
Well, we have, there's numbers based on the 2000, between the 2000 census, the US Census, and the 2010 census. And the numbers have changed dramatically. I mean, for example, Riverhead, the town of Riverhead, the increase from 2000 to 2010 on the Hispanic population, which is the biggest immigrant population, it's 255%. So that's a huge number. Basically, these numbers are based on immigrants, regardless of where they come from. And obviously, the Latino community is the biggest one of all. But there's, on these numbers, we have Europeans and we have Asians too.
Yes.
They're all immigrants.
Yes.
This whole nation is based on immigrants from all over the world. But the Latino community is the biggest population, the biggest one coming into the country. Hampton Bays grew 154.7% in the last 10, from 2000 to 2010. So the numbers are incredible. Amityville, we have numbers from Patchogue, from even New York City. So everything is based on what's been happening in the past 10 years. And this is one of the reasons why we created the group to work with the immigrants in especially the East End, which was kind of left out from the rest of the island. And that's one of the reasons why we want to work with this.
And what does your group exactly do to help the immigrants? What do you do?
Well, there's we have different issues. We educate ourselves first so we can pass it along to them. There's a lot of people out there who have a lack of language. There's a language barrier. People seem to be lost to a certain point, and we want to help them out, guide people up. But in order to do that, we have to get that information and learn ourselves first.
Yes.
And then pass it along to others.
Do you happen to know if immigrants have the opportunity to be part of the new Affordable Care Act? Because I know there's a big drive to try to register them in California. And I just don't know if that's possible for people here, because that's certainly something that you'd have to know something about it in order to be able to do it. You know, you have to go online and do this registration, which is obviously not as complicated as it was in the beginning, because they have fixed a great deal of the website. So do any of these people have the opportunity to become a part of the Affordable Care Act?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. I think for children, there are. As for the adults, I'm not sure yet.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, if the
Yes.
Affordable Care Act covers them as well.
But it does for the children.
It does for the children, yes.
Well, that's
Up
good.
until they're 21, I believe.
Okay, well, that's a start.
Yes.
And so I was reading to you guys an article that was in, what was the name of the newspaper? Because I say it with an Italian accent.
Oh, Voz Latina.
And there was an article in there about a law that's now in place in New York State, and it's one of Governor Cuomo's things that has helped renters who are being harassed by, unruly realtors who try to take advantage of them. And I know that's been a big issue as well. And do you ever do any kind of work with that kind of thing?
Yes, that's the thing with our group, that we not only are advocating, to push for the immigration reform and the Deferral Act, but also we see all the problems that the immigrants are facing. For example, the housing. And we are only 8 members, and each of us, like as I was telling you before, have a passion. Sister Mary Beth Moore, she's pretty much in charge of that area, and she's been so worried about it because just in Hampton Bays, out of 500 families, 120, 140 families already have been visited by the code enforcement because, there are a lot of people living in one building. So they're being harassed by, the law.
That's against their rental laws.
Yes.
If you have too many people, because they consider that to be health and safety issues.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And
it's-
here's something I always say about that, because we had a housing committee in my own political group here, and I always said, and there were many people, we went back and forth about, should we have a rental registry? What will it do to the poor, to the people who really need a place to live? But what they don't take into consideration is that these people are sometimes paying $800 for a room.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
that's
Even more.
They are being abused if they're paying those kind. I mean, how much more would you pay to just rent a house by yourself or your family, or maybe just 2 families together? It's amazing how they are being abused, especially by absentee landlords who just rent, and then they're not there. They just come to collect the rents.
Yes.
So it can be a very complex and sensitive area.
Yeah. And they do it because they don't, many of these families, they don't know any better. They're used to live in their countries that way. So they come here and they think, oh, okay, it's fine to live, all together. But they don't know, that there are certain codes that they have to follow.
Yes.
So, once we tell them, teach them that there are certain codes that they have to follow, then it'll be fine. But, the community needs a break. They don't even have a break from the police department. They don't have a break from the immigration. The only thing they have left, honestly, is their language. That's it. Because they're being harassed from everywhere.
Aha. Well, I didn't realize that that's one of the reasons why they accept that kind of situation, is because in their own countries, people do live, many families together
Yes.
like that.
It's a cultural thing also.
Aha. But we don't allow it here. That's the problem.
That's it. It's
So
just a safety issue.
So it's all a problem. It's all really comes back to the same old word: education,
Education, that's it.
and helping people to understand how to come into a new community, in a new environment, and get along. And I have had one gal here, Anita Hales was her name, and she was with a group called Welcoming Long Island Immigrants. And she was here one time, and I interviewed her. And she was a Hungarian background. And and a dreamer, by the way, another dreamer. And one of the things that they do in her, which is really throughout the island, is to do the same kind of thing you're talking about, which is helping people to understand, what they have to do in order to get along. And I'm wondering also, are people interested in the group of Latinos or any immigrants to advance towards citizenship? Do they want that? Is that something that people want?
Yes, people do have basically the idea to come to the States for a better life, understanding that there is a law that you have to respect and that you have to follow. And for future references, obviously they want to become legal citizens and have rights like anybody else, register to vote, and do all the duties as a citizen that you are supposed to. So that's where we come into action. We're trying to educate the new generation of immigrants that there are certain laws you have to follow. You have to respect them and teach their children coming up as new citizens what the duties are as a citizen. You have to register to vote. Education is extremely important. So it's the land of the opportunity. So this is an opportunity for them to be in a better position in life, for them and their children. So, and then the path to citizenship. So you can have all the rights and all the things that as a citizen you do, have. Education is the key. That's what we believe in. We firmly believe in education in every sense of the way. And I don't mean, just you have to go to college and graduate and get a job, but in every way.
Yes.
In every way. And pass it along to your children, because that's important. That's why a lot of families do take or make the sacrifice to leave the loved ones behind, to leave everything you had in the past for a better life. So that's our job. That's what we believe is our job.
That has always been the draw. It
It's
was
always-
always for a better life.
Mhm.
When my family came here, my grandfather came here alone and did not see my grandmother and his daughter for 5 years because he was busy working and trying to establish himself here. And then my grandmother came, and then they also helped other people who came along, and that's been the way of the immigrant, which is one immigrant helps the next guy to come along.
Yep.
And I want to tell you that as an administrator in a bilingual school in Yonkers Public Schools where I worked, I always found in any of the schools that I was in, and I was in about 5 different schools in my career, and because one does switch around, especially if one is changing one's capacity in one's job. I have always found Latino parents to be the best. When you said, and I'm telling you, I handle discipline as an administrator. If I said to a Latino parent, your child hit another kid, they would say, I will take care of it.
And they
And
would.
you got support. And if you said your child is not doing his homework, let me know, I will make sure that they do it. So they are very, very involved parents, very involved. They used to come into the cafeteria and feed their kids in the morning at breakfast time at the school that I was at. I mean, they were absolutely wonderful parents, very supportive of the educational system, which was quite refreshing because you don't always get that, let me tell you. A lot of times if you say to somebody, your kid bit you or hit somebody, they say, are you kidding? What did you do to the other kid? Did you make that other kid get suspended also? They really can be, people can be very tough, but Latino parents are very supportive of the situation.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from the fact that they're making all their sacrifices for their kids. My father, for example, was an accountant back home. My mom was a housewife. She didn't know what it was like to get up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning to go clean other people's homes for 12 hours a day in the summertime. My dad didn't know what it was like to work outside for 12 hours in the sun to do carpentry or painting work. But they did it. They made the sacrifices for us, and they invested all this time of their lives for our betterment, for our benefit. And I think that's where they put so much emphasis and where they put so much effort into how their kids do in school or how they behave, is because they're investing so much and they're sacrificing so much that they want to make sure that their kids take full advantage of the opportunity that they're presenting them with.
Well, that is the basis, isn't it,
That's it.
really?
That's it.
Is if you're sacrificing so much of your own life, well, I wish we could do more. We have tried. As I mentioned before, one of the things I know that we wanted to try to do and is find out if we can get a GED in Spanish and English at our local high school here in East Hampton, because the only place it's given is in Hampton Bays.
Hampton Bays.
Now, if you're working all day, you don't want to drive to Hampton Bays to take a class. You probably fall asleep on the way there, I mean, most of these people are doing a lot of hard work, a lot of physical hard work.
A lot of physical. Yeah.
And but it is now offered online in that, but I haven't gotten back particularly to someone who works with me in my house, and I want to remind her that this is available now online. I don't know how to do it. I haven't really investigated it, but it's something we really should look into, because we really, first of all, what people don't understand is a lot of our economy is also run on the fact that we need the labor of these people.
Yeah.
We really need these people to do a lot of the work that, a lot of American kids don't want to do because they're a little, But these kids that come up are really much more willing to work and to get ahead. That's the story of the immigrant. The immigrant will work to get ahead because, as you say, they know what their parents have given up to get here, and to provide a decent life for their children. So, what are your goals for the future?
Well, I guess we did lots of things. We did a rally back in December, and we had like 300 participants. So we're hoping to do another rally in the near future. We don't have a date.
And where did you do the rally?
In Southampton.
In Southampton?
And I think it was one of the
How come I didn't know
coldest
about
days
it?
in December.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was one of the colder days in December. I remember that.
Oh.
I remember that. It was right at the very, very, very beginning of December. That rally is actually the reason that I'm here today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's actually how I found out more about the organization and about some of the goals, some of the other organizations that they're working with, and it actually piqued my interest.
Yeah, well, we have to do what we can to help these people to become integrated. As you were talking about it, I was thinking to myself, I know when I go to a foreign country, and I mean, even if I go to England, which is speaking English all the time, you still have this sense of being sort of almost isolated, alienated, and in a strange place that you have to kind of maneuver your way around. How do you do this, and how do you do that, and how do I get there, and what do I do, now?
Who do I talk to?
I mean, let alone things like money, in different countries and stuff like that, which get to be more complicated. Now with the euro, it's not quite so bad, but
Right.
but it used to be, lira in one place, Deutschmark in another place, a pound in another place, and you never knew what the heck they were doing, guilder in Holland, and it was really tough. So there needs to be these kinds of groups like you do, like you guys, to help people to assimilate. That's the without giving up your heritage. But you have to, if you're here and you want to make money and you want to get advanced and you want to have a good life, you have to assimilate. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're always going to be, you know, doing the low jobs. That's the key. I remember one of a gal from Puerto Rico who was a ESL teacher in one of the schools that I was at, who used to say, we got to get them to speak English or they'll never get out of the kitchen. You know, that was her big thing. We got to get them to speak English, you know, and that's the truth. Well, of course, she was an ESL teacher, so obviously that was her goal, was to take children from who came to our school who didn't speak a word of English and slowly immerse them. And by the way, studies show that it takes about 6 years to
Between
change
6 and 7
from
years,
one
yeah.
language to
To
another.
another
It takes
You
time.
know, it is it's a slow process.
Correct.
And some of us, like me, really struggle with language. I'm not a language person. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you all coming here. And
you
I'm
for
hoping to see you again. I'm going to hear more things, and I want to know more. Next time there's a rally. And how many people did you have at the rally?
Close to 300, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was like
It was a
300,
lot,
300.
and all of the local papers we
All the local papers.
covers.
It was really, really great. The turnout, I think, was more than what we could have imagined.
Really?
I mean, it was frigid cold outside, but a lot of people turned out. They brought their own posters. They came and you know, voiced their opinions. Like I said, we had leaders from other different organizations that are sympathetic to immigrants come in and give very brief speeches. Myself, my brother, and a couple of other dreamers spoke that day. It was really it was uplifting to see how much support, how people come together for things like this.
That's great. That is wonderful to know that there are forces, people working for the good. And this show will be on YouTube, by the way.
Okay.
It takes me a couple of weeks to get it because I have to get it from them and then I put it on. And it will be on YouTube on ehdems.com.